There's no denying that the world today is a little bit crazy. And much of the news we hear, the people we meet, the conversations we engage in can be a bit, well, emotionally draining. Most empaths think that shielding themselves means hiding away. But what if true protection comes from opening even more deeply? Today we're exploring why ancient tantric practices don't just teach us to shut the world out, but rather to root in our own energy so deeply that the chaos around us can't shake us anymore. And if you've ever felt overwhelmed, drained, or even broken by the world's noise, well, stay tuned. Because thriving as an empath might be the opposite of what you've been taught all along.
Welcome to a new paradigm, a new way of being, free from shame, self-limitation, or cultural programming. Welcome to a new you, a new world full of endless possibilities. Welcome to your Tantric awakening.
Welcome to the Tantric Awakening podcast, and my name is Andre Knight.
And I'm Kendall.
And yeah, we're going to dive into how to thrive as an empath, even when the world feels a bit crazy or energetically draining all around you. And I thought a good place to start might be a definition of empath, actually, because we can't assume everybody knows. So empathic is commonly taken to mean feeling the emotions of others. But in my experience, people that don't feel it as strongly sometimes misinterpret it as like knowing how others are feeling around you, like intuitively picking up on body language or sensing. And I think if you're like an HSP, a highly sensitive person, and really empathic, as I know you are, my dear, and it's not just that you know what others are feeling, it's that you're feeling their feelings as if they were your own. Okay? And I know, speaking for myself, there are times when I wasn't so sure that that was a superpower. It felt like a curse at times. You know, I really had to learn how to protect myself from overwhelm. Over time, I've come to learn it actually is a superpower, and we'll get into all this. We'll show you how to cope, we'll show you how to shield, but we'll teach you how to do it without shutting yourself off. Because as I mentioned in the introduction, sometimes what works even better is the opposite of what you would think. Allowing yourself to feel so deeply, but from a place where you're grounded and rooted in yourself. So the storm doesn't shake you. The storm shakes you when this is empty. But when this is full, when this is rooted, it's a totally different experience. And I've known people who have stopped storms. So that's kind of my feeling, my introduction. I'd love to get your take on it. And what was it like as you came to realize your abilities? Did you also struggle with overwhelm a lot?
Yeah, in life, sure, absolutely. I feel the journey itself being in union, but also individually, has been understanding the gift of sensitivity, and that the more sensitive you are to energies around you from people, places, things, even locations, cities around the world, the more attuned you are, the more aware and therefore taking, action in the way that resonates with you can transpire. But yeah, as far as empathy in general and being an empath, and, you and I have talked about this on the podcast, but like human design, for example, I have recognized personally, even in the last few years, learning about my very empathic nature in relationship to my openness. And so, yeah, I've been on a journey of really tuning into this concept of like overwhelm and what that means. And I think it's important to acknowledge I think for it personally, but also collectively of like, what is overwhelm? And defining that for yourself or becoming aware of what is overwhelm. Because what I've personally learned is that what is overwhelming to one person is not necessarily overwhelming to the other. So again, it comes back to personal responsibility.
That's true. I mean, it's very individual, what the experience is. One might not even notice what's overwhelming another. Since you asked for a definition, I would start with, I know, like when we've become observant of it, something I've heard you say and something I know I've felt myself, overstimulation is a big one.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a simple thing. You realize, you know what, the air conditioner's been running all day. We need to turn off that hum and just feel the silence for a few minutes too. Here again, reground, recenter. But overstimulation.
Yeah.
Too much, too fast, too many things going on at the same time, or sometimes just the background noise that you need to take a breath from.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because the brain body coherence conversation is so something I'm very passionate about. It's something that I've become more aware of. And like even, earlier today of just that awareness of, oh, wow, like the AC is inviting me even to turn it off in a way because the contrast is needed, right? It's like almost like a brain boot and a body boot and nervous system reboot. I do this even in my workflow during the day. It's kind of like a dance break is almost the same thing. Like there's only so much information intake or focused attention my body and my mind can give, and breaks are necessary, shifts are necessary, and being attuned to when those moments are happening or need to happen is really important.
That's a really great tool for coping, actually. Is just giving yourself state changes, because what happens with overstimulation, as an empath, we're used to feeling more. We're used to feeling stronger and deeper, so everything's more intense. That's why even like a slight buzz, sometimes you can tune it out and sometimes it's overwhelming your world.
Yeah.
Right. So a constant state of change resets the nervous system. It's like when you go into a fine perfume store, they always have little cups full of coffee beans. Why? It resets the senses. Schools have periods, right? You study for 55 minutes and then for 5 minutes you walk to the next class, and your next class is never close. You're like, why couldn't they just schedule them? It's meant to give you a walk because they figured this out long ago. It's good for indoctrination, really. Like Rockefeller and Henry Ford came up with it.
Yeah.
But you give a state change, and if you were doing something cerebral, do something physical. If you're doing something physical, stop and do something still and meditative maybe. But that state change, when you go back to work, makes you work faster, makes you more productive, more creative. Okay, it doesn't cost you time to take a 5-minute break. And I love the idea of dance breaks. Pray of something you like. Be sexy, be silly, have fun.
Yeah.
And you're totally activating a different part of your brain. And then when you sit down, or if you're learning, your brain's going to be much more like a sponge, right? Because it's gotten that kind of release and you've used a different part of it. I felt it when we were in the 𝗧 class the other night. I felt myself using parts of my brain that I'm not used to using, and it felt good,
Yeah. Contrast. Absolutely. And it's really important. And I would love to bring another contrasting word, because I think when the word overwhelm comes up, I think it's important to also discuss the opposite, which can feel like underwhelm. And underwhelm is something that I've been becoming more conscious of in these moments where, for example, it's interesting with the AC example, but I've noticed, for example, when I'm inside too long, my body begins to speak, and I feel it's like it's craving the sun codes. It's craving something different. And so like empathically, I think it's more of, like me finding that awareness, finding the love to be like, oh no, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go outside and walk, because, my body's really craving it. So I think that's another part of the conversation as well.
Well, this is a great point, because, how do you fight that overwhelm? How do you fight that scattering of your energy, that distraction? Yeah, by grounding in yourself. I spoke about rooting in yourself. They're slightly different things. Going for a walk is great. Being surrounded by nature, smelling nature. If you live in a city, particularly, like, find a park. Like, get away from the concrete, the steel, and the glass, and just be around grass and trees. The air smells different and feels different. That alone will heal you and balance you. If you have the opportunity to take your shoes off, check for glass. I don't want to be responsible for anything. Please be careful. But, like, if you can put your bare feet on the ground, it's amazing and it's healing. And you literally feel that jittery nervous energy just move out of you and into the ground. Okay, so that's grounding. And by the way, it's more important than ever because if you look at the plugs in your wall, particularly if you live in, like, North America, you have 3 holes there, right? It's positive and negative for the electrical current, and then it's the ground. The third one's the ground. But you look at most electronic devices today, 2 prongs. Nothing goes in that third hole. So the energy doesn't get grounded. So it's floating. The electromagnetic waves are floating in the air, sucking into your pores. When you put your bare feet on the ground, you do what that third cable did. That third cable is just a wire that runs on the outside of your house into the ground. It gives the negative EMFs a place to go, to be absorbed. So when you do that with bare feet, it does the same thing with you. Like, this isn't mysticism, guys. This is science, right? The positive ions, those are the ones that erode your cells, will fall away into the ground, and from the air around you, particularly if you're nature, your body's going to absorb helpful, regenerative negative ions into your body and into your cells.
Yeah.
And it's so simple. Nature is free. It's so much cheaper than therapy,
Yeah, it's really beautiful, and I'm really grateful, even in the role that I'm in right now this summer as a dance teacher. Like, I'm really fortunate. The environment that I work in, it gives me the freedom to connect with both nature and outdoors, and also indoors. It's like this dance between both. And so, yeah, from my present experiences right now, I can definitely attest to, there's also a visual aspect when you're able to look at nature. And, like, for example, I literally this past week was dancing in the garden and literally dancing in front of chickens. Like, it was so
Really?
innocent because these kids love this song called Chicken Banana. It's like a huge thing right now. And literally I had all these kids dancing in with the chickens, like literally right in front of the chickens, and all the chickens literally walked over to the kids and just started, like, it was the most funny thing.
I've noticed that at the zoo. If you play music and you start bopping your head, if you dance with a bird, they'll dance with you. They love it.
Yeah. And there's, like, chrysalises everywhere too.
Try it.
And it's like, it's really healing, like, especially as an empath being in a new environment, like, change into this new gig that I've been having for the summer as a dance specialist has been really helping my empath or my overwhelm. Because
being around kids and animals?
Yeah, and nature and animals. And it's just really helped me also because it's such there's some days are fuller than others as far as, like, pace wise. But I've learned a lot around, yes, holding empathy and care for my students, but also for me, it's been as a teacher and even within colleagues, like, the biggest things I've been learning and just witnessing is, as an empath, in order for me to thrive as an empath in this space and in general in life, is to have a form of healthy detachment. So where I can, like, observe people in their experiences or their emotional states, but also not absorb it and let it knock me off my center, especially when you're a leader, and I'm very much in a leader role. It's been a very much a test to so much of the inner work I've been doing up until this position, because my empathy is required. It's like, if I hadn't done the inner work, it would have been maybe harder for me to detach. Yeah.
Well, that's a very important point. I'd love to speak into it further. Healthy detachment, like, this isn't shutting yourself off. This is not not caring. We're not encouraging people to be callous and heartless.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel very deep compassion from somebody,
Mm-hmm.
but still be detached.
Yeah.
You know, detached from the outcome. You hope for the best for them. You send them your best energy and all your love, sure, but in the end, you've got a path to walk too. You've got a destiny,
Mm-hmm.
and you trust that the universe will lead everybody
Mm-hmm.
to theirs,
Yeah.
So by all means, go out there, do good in the world, but detach from the outcome because you're not doing it for a result. Here's another way to think about it. You're not doing it for the result, right? You're doing it because it's who you are, right? So just be more you. And I really believe that if more people got deeper in touch with the core of who they are here and put more of their energy out there as their authentic self, we can't help but heal the world and make it a better place.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe that's who we are inherently. All of these other systems that have turned us against each other are all artificially imposed.
Mm.
And they've caused us to forget who we are. And I think as empaths, we feel it, some more consciously, some less, some get a bigger piece, a bigger picture of the puzzle, a few more pieces, some a few less, a little hazier, but like we all kind of feel this. You know what I mean? That our true being, our true essence has been kind of like supplanted. And we're feeling a sense, I think part of what's going on right now, like, yeah, the news is bad right now. But when I was growing up, there was also bad news. There's always some kind of bad news. Has it been this bad? It's been different kinds of bad news. But like, you can let that change your frequency to a certain level. Or you can get in touch with this core, this essence that we're referring to. And you begin to, once you're grounded in it, you begin to radiate it out. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So less of that, what happens out there, is going to phase you as strongly. So that's another way of looking at detachment. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting because right now, if I'm looking at like my personal astrology and what my soul is evolving into and growing right now in, it's the Aquarius moon energy. And that is personally what my initiation right now is healthy detachment. But in this space that I'm currently working, it's really interesting because the role itself is very much focused on soulful, heart-based leadership and influence. And that's how I see my empathy being utilized because I'm, yes, around adults and also very young adults. My main audience, the people I'm reaching the most right now, is mainly young kids. And so I have this perspective that in the empathy space, it's been really interesting because so many of these kids don't know what's going on in the world. They're not aware of any of it. So the empathy that I'm giving out, I truly believe a lot, is the empathy for myself. Because though I might be empathic and aware, right? Aware of things that are going on in the world, especially in America right now, where like there's a lot of tension in the air. What I've been really learning is back to what you were mentioning even earlier. It's like the importance of finding your center and being diligent about that, because the more diligent you are about your center and giving yourself the space and activating the tools like breath work, or like for me, during breaks in between classes, like I'll put on some music, like some meditative music. Like it's about activating yourself in those moments. Like for me, it's activating empathy when I may be triggered or something comes up. Like it's a yes and, like it's wild. It's a paradox, because a big part of my decolonizing work has been really allowing myself to be amongst people that may be different from me and have a different spirituality than me, and find the humanness of it. Like that's where I feel like empathy is really prevalent, because like
people are people. They may be different, but they're still people.
Yeah. And that's why I'm so grateful, because it's helped me understand the basis for what healthy detachment is. It's not that I don't care about what's going on in the world, because I do, and I've informed myself and stay educated, but it's also been really helpful to recognize, like, how can I be present with the person right in front of me and the student that's right in front of me with their emotions, and how can I hold space? And you know what I mean? Because worlds get smaller when you look into a child's eye. You're like, oh, like, this is what matters.
Speaking about tools that help us cope with this, another one of my favorite tools, I mentioned that grounding and rooting are slightly different things. The rooting exercise, you actually tried it with some of your classes, you told me. So rooting is a little different. Again, barefoot if you can, but I've done this on like the 10th floor of apartment buildings before. You can use your imagination. But basically, you imagine roots extending down from the soles of your feet, and just like a tree going deep, deep, deep into the earth. And when you inhale, you imagine not inhaling through your nose, but you imagine inhaling earthly energy, kind of picture mud, but like not in a icky, gooey way, like in a really kind of comforting, soothing way. And just pull that energy up through your roots and through the trunks of your feet and up into your spine. Imagine doing that when you inhale. And then any dark, heavy energy that's kind of weighing you down, when you exhale, you can put it back down into the ground. So similar effect to grounding, but done a little differently. And you tried it with your kids. What did they think of it? What was their reaction?
They loved it. They loved being able to go outside. They loved being able to do it with me. And it was just them following. I mean, I was truly leading them into an experience, and it was like an initiation for me too, because I was like, this was the first time I did it with a group of kids. Yeah, really powerful. And also I wanted to share another example of empathy in motion, which was this past week. Like, there was a class that these kids were just so tired. I could literally feel their energy, and I was reading the room, and I can just tell that their bodies, like this collective nervous system of everyone, was just tired. And I think it was after lunch, which usually after lunch the kids get more tired. They're having a little bit of food coma. So literally I was like, instead of forcing my agenda or what I planned, I literally was like, I pulled out one of my tools from my toolbox, and I was like giving essentially all of the students and even the staff permission to lay down and close their eyes. And when I said, like, I've done this a few times.
That's a powerful exercise. It's one of my favorites.
I've done this a few times, and it was just really powerful to witness them surrender into that moment and just, give them the guidance they needed. And there was like a meditation, there was breath work. I literally guided them to like pretend that they are in a cloud and to relax their toes, like relax. I guided them through that, and literally right after, and I'm talking, this was like a 5-minute break for them. And I had invited them to like roll on their sides and like literally like pretend like they're like really drop into cradling and feeling their bodies. After that, they all were like, that was so good. I needed that so much. Like they had a little moment to to just fully relax and have a brain reboot. And it just, honestly, it's been teaching me of like, oh, like empathy is about attunement.
Well, we can
It's
learn a lot about
about-
ourselves from children because they don't have that filter. They just, they feel authentically and they communicate through words or through body language or through behavior exactly what they're feeling.
Yeah. And also too, like I've noticed too with like the younger, like the coaches too, they're there as well. Like I've had many times where they have literally expressed gratitude or literally requested, can we do the meditation part? Yeah.
Cool.
Because
Okay.
I think it's as well, it's really beautiful them being reminded that they can do something like that even as adults. Like it's fascinating this world that I'm in, because again this really does tie into everything that we're all about, which is relating and healthy relationships, erotic innocence, which is the foundation to eros, and exploring that deeper.
Well, yeah, we've already discussed 3 tools, and this is what we do at Tantric Awakening, you guys. We're not just a podcast. We're actually a registered 501c3 nonprofit, and we explore energy. We explore how it affects us and the world around us, how we can learn to work with it, and we train the leaders and the healers of tomorrow. And if you're watching this, chances are you probably are one. So we encourage you to click the link down in the description, or you can visit www.tantricawakening.net. And there's a link right at the top. We're going to be starting a social network for people like us, run by people like us, and we want to connect with people like you. So you can join the waiting list for that, and you can also sign up to receive our newsletter. There's little hearts you can check, and you can sign up for as many or as few things as you want. But like, let us know what you're interested in learning more about, and we'll do episodes about it, and we'll send you a notification when we do it, and we'll let you know when the social network opens its doors. We're literally weeks away. We're getting close. And yeah, just plug in. You don't have to go at it alone. We're here to help you. So once again, www.tantricawakening.net, or you can look in the description whether you're watching this show or listening to it. I'll pop the link down there. And if you're finding today's conversation useful, let me also quickly remind you, we'd really appreciate your comment. Let us know some of your favorite tools for coping, or maybe situations where you found yourself feeling overwhelmed. Like, let's continue the conversation beyond the episode. Please share it, and please comment below. We do read and respond to every single one. So let's talk about why sensitivity is a superpower, actually, and not a curse, not weakness. I know myself, like I wouldn't be able to do some of the work I do, whether it's therapy or coaching work, or if it's like hands-on massage or energy moving work, healing work, without empathy, without heightened empathy, I'll say. I wouldn't be able to do the work I do. People ask me like, where did you go to massage school? I studied a little bit, but I dropped out. Learning the Latin names for things wasn't helping me give a better massage. Touching people's bodies was teaching me how to give a better massage, because I could feel the body and I could talk to it. And it talked back just like a musical instrument. And the more time you spend with it, just like a musical instrument, or, you know, if you're a fire performer or a hula hooper, like the more time you spend with the tool itself teaches you. A guitar. First time I strummed a guitar and I felt it hum against my chest, it was like, ooh. It's a two-way communication. You know, you spend time with the thing and it talks to you, it teaches you. People who are good with animals spend a lot of time around animals, right? It just, the universe will naturally teach you if you stay open to it, if you pay attention to it. That's what I found.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. Yeah, like I can honestly attest to my ability to hold compassion, hold space for others, because I've learned to hold space for myself. And it's only because of the trials, the hardships, the rock bottoms, the, you know, oh shit moments that I've been able to literally develop empathy and continue to remind myself to soften, because I think opposite of empathy is almost like a hardening. It's a numbness. It's even like disassociation in like the not healthy way, right? Like it is finding that balance, the being aware but not getting consumed in energies that in just general that are not supportive and for your evolution. And
Well,
it's really finding that healthy balance for yourself, because the reality is, like you mentioned, like there's always going to be something negative or something bad.
well, let's talk
around.
about it. Let's say, well, I mean, even negative things can sometimes teach you. Let's say energies and things and people that may not have your best intentions in mind. And I love that you bring this up, because we need to talk a little bit about protecting your energy, as well as, it starts with boundaries, I would say. First of all, it starts with boundaries. You have to know your boundaries. And you have to, this is key, this is where most people fail. You have to communicate your boundaries. An assumption is not an agreement. You have to communicate what you need. A lot of people get upset when their needs aren't met, but they haven't actually fully communicated them or given the other person a chance to meet them. Most people, given the awareness and given the opportunity, would like to make you happy. We all want our friends and neighbors being happy, right? So usually it comes from a lack of knowledge. So you can't communicate your boundaries if you don't know where they are, what they are. And you don't know what they are, you don't know what your values are, if you don't spend time in meditation just connecting with yourself. In silence and in meditation, just connecting, even briefly, with yourself. But then once you know what they are, you got to communicate them. And most people, given that knowledge, will honor them. There will be some that don't, and we'll get into that and how you can protect yourself. But I think that's where really it starts, healthy boundaries and communicating them.
Yeah. And it's also knowing your standard. It helps develop your personal ethos, because that is your personal ethos that you develop. And until you're in the world, it's interesting. Like once you're in spaces where maybe even spaces, your boundaries are challenged, because I know my ethos, or not even just ethos, but my boundaries have sharpened when sometimes they've felt challenged, because I recognize like, oh, that's why that's there. Or if, I didn't necessarily, what's the word? Like, for example, there's this past week where I literally had a moment where a boundary was crossed, but it wasn't explicitly expressed beforehand until it was crossed. So what I needed to do was take accountability for that, and literally in love, with respect as well, was able to communicate that to such person, and doing it in a way where it was loving, and also expressing like, this is why I need this to protect myself, to make sure that I'm taken care of. And it was wild. It was received super well. And so I think a big part of this dialogue, this topic, is in boundary setting. It's remembering that in relationships, whether to yourself or to others, it's about really activating that throat chakra, like connecting the heart to the throat. Because if you are coming from a loving place, what naturally will come forward is a consideration and empathy. And that's what I experienced this week in observing, like, oh, the reason why I approached such person to like discuss XY boundary was because the heart was involved, right? It was because I care about myself enough to also check in and express how X person impacted me, and also like, how can we move forward with more awareness?
Well, this is the key. That is key. How can we move forward from this?
Yeah.
Because so many people, when some transgression of energy happens, because that's what it is, when somebody loses their cool, emotion takes most of them, and they yell, anger comes out, like, right? It's an energetic imbalance.
Mm-hmm.
Once we feel it and we're struck by it and we're wounded by it, ironically, the temptation is to stay there and keep feeling it and keep being wounded by it.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a burn, what do they say? Like taking your hand off the stove or coming out of the sun if your skin is red is not enough. You're going to keep burning. You got to put something cold on it to bring it back down to normal temperature.
That temperature.
And until you do, the damage continues being done. Most people don't get sunburned out in the sun on the beach. They get sunburned in the car on the way home because they haven't done anything, right? They haven't applied anything to the skin to cool it off, so they continue burning subtly. That's why it's so much worse by the time you get home.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing energetically, and in relationships, we tend to stay in it.
Mm-hmm.
The mature thing, we did an episode about emotional intelligence. The mature thing to do is to lead yourself, or not to get pulled into it, but if you find yourself pulled into it, to lead yourself out of it. And if you can, help lead your partner out of it, because nobody wants to stay in the hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes we need help finding our way back out of it. And then you can move on to the healing. Well, why did that upset you? Well, I wouldn't want to do that again. Thank you for making me aware of that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hurt somebody intentionally. There's a few.
Yeah.
We'll talk about those in a minute. But for the most part, people need that awareness.
Yeah.
We get hurt and we tend to lash back. You hurt me, I'm going to hurt you. That's the opposite of learning. That's the opposite of bringing awareness. Now they're defending or they're hurting and nobody's learning anything.
So I would love to lean into this a little bit more.
Please do.
Because I feel when it comes to relationships, just in life, right? Whether it's professional, whether it's in union, it's also knowing timing. I mean, and this is my Saturnian energy speaking, but oftentimes, and I've noticed this in myself, and we've even engaged with this, is oftentimes, we don't always have the opportunity to speak into something that we're noticing in the moment it's happening, whether it's something out of our control or it's just not there's not a moment in the present moment to have a conversation of integration or to acknowledge like, hey, XYZ, I noticed this, that you were doing this, and in witnessing you, it made me feel this. Like that, it's more of the timing, and why I'm bringing this up is because I feel, and this is something on a collective level because it's been a theme, especially the last week, that I've noticed. I think a lot of the times we as adults desire, even if we're in an argument or we're noticing our friend or partner and they're experiencing something or they're feeling triggered or distressed, there's sometimes a tendency to wants to receive an apology, or not only that, but there's there's an uncomfortability and there's an overwhelm. What I've been feeling, and we've even, reflected this with clients, is like, it's really important to just honor the process through what is actually happening, because oftentimes that process alone is what allows for the brave conversation and opportunity for you to assert yourself in respectful ways with your boundaries, so that you can strengthen the bond and strengthen, whether it's professional, whether it's in your union. So I think that's a big thing, because I think especially for the romantic people in the room, or the people that are just so committed to love and, love and love when everything's going right, it's also recognizing the stretch zone where you are being confronted with your own personal ethos, or maybe recognizing I need to actually assert my boundary here. That is why we're here. That's why souls come. That's why you as a soul, that's why I come. You probably came here back to learn these. It's the going to the gym and lifting some weights. It's like the spiritual growth.
Well, yeah. And I'm glad you brought this up, because we tend to want resolution right in the moment. But it's not just respect for the other person. It's also really respect for yourself, because A forced apology in the moment, you screwed up, you owe me an apology. I've been trying to learn this lesson myself. If you get one, most of the times you'll get defensiveness, but if you get one, it won't be a sincere and real apology anyway.
Yeah.
It'll be them saying what you want to hear to appease you and get you off their back. Is that kind of apology really satisfying or healing on any level, really? Except maybe the surface ego level. But if you give the person time and space, instead of appeasing, they come to realizing they on their own realize where they've transgressed. Or maybe, like you said, you speak into not you. We've talked about this before. You speak into I. I am feeling this. This made me feel this way. You bring it to their awareness and you let them digest it and go through their process on their own.
Yeah.
Let them come to you and apologize after they've had that realization. That's a sincere apology because it leads to awareness and it leads to change. And anything that's missing those elements is manipulation, basically. It comes down to an apology without change or action is manipulation. Usually it's to get you off your back. Sometimes it's to get you to do something, but there's no change if a person hasn't had this time to process.
Yeah.
That's
self-reflection. I mean, I saw this even earlier this week where I had, there was this young girl and she was really emotional, and I was leading the class and one of the coaches just decided to be there for her as she was processing. She went outside and she was good. And I could have been like, trying to, not that she did anything wrong. I was not really fully aware of what had happened, but it's been really wild to bear witness of you can't, my role is not to force someone to shift states.
No. You let them go through their process.
It's like if an animal in the wild has been frightened, or they were just in a fight, flight, fawn, freeze, or something, running for their lives. Animals go through that process with their nervous system to shake it off and regulate themselves. So it's very similar to, relating with humans. Empathy is recognizing our processes, and it's really being able to attune of sometimes the ego is really wanting to resolve and just the uncomfortability, but that's where in that discomfort is growth, where you can literally sit with yourself and be
100%.
What is this? Really self-reflect and really take ownership of this and be okay with the momentary perhaps disconnection. I have found some of the most profound moments of awareness, and not only awareness, but a reminder of my values in the disconnection moments, especially when we've been disconnected. I'm like, oh my God, no,
because you feel that emptiness and you feel that longing to reconnect.
Well, this, it's an energetic cord, but it's more so than anything. It's that window where it's almost like time stops, and I'm I'm seeing how this and this and this everything trickled down. And the mature thing is being able to reflect there and also be oh, I see how that got there. But it's also I see how maybe that is a projection or that's a story. And in the end, what I've noticed a lot of the time, it's really it's a fear, and there's a story that is going on, and it's you think it's real, but it's really not. And in the end, it's I've more often than not, I've always just recognized this. It's is this person, are they on my side? Are they on my team and they want the best for me? And not 10 out of 10, usually it's absolutely yes. There's no trying to win. It's usually a misunderstanding. And the more I've, really allowed that to open me more, the more I've just
that's where a
developed
conversation,
understanding, because everyone's on their own journey and their spiritual growth. And even in the momentary discomfort, each person gets to learn something. That if one allows, right?
If you bring awareness, most people will want to make a shift. It's the awareness that was missing. Now, there are some that won't.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is the minority that are either are not aware or in it for itself, and some that actually maybe mean you harm.
Mm.
That does happen, and we should talk a little bit about shielding. Energy vampires are a thing too.
Mm.
There's people, whether online or in person, that will try to get a rise out of you and get you into an argument because they feed off that energy, really. You're giving off excess energy and they feed off of it. There's people that maybe have had so much conflict in their life that that's become their new normal. That's their natural state. They're not comfortable where there isn't it. And whether it's energetically by personality or sometimes just through their actions, they naturally stir stuff up. So here again, this is where the healthy detachment comes in. But one of the things that I found is really helpful to visualize, it works for me.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine myself surrounded by like an egg, but made out of light instead of an eggshell. And I like this analogy because it's not like you're imagining a wall or a shell or something that blocks you off,
Mm-hmm.
but you do have a shield, almost like a filter, like it's permeable. You can see through it, but it's like a filter. It's like a shield. And I just imagine breathing air in
Mm.
from all around me. And when I exhale into where this shell of the egg would be made out of light. And
Mm.
sometimes I don't have a lot of power. The egg's only this big, but with every breath, with every exhale, it kind of blows up like a balloon and gets bigger till it surrounds me. And I just
Mm.
breathe in. Once I'm surrounded by it, I breathe into it a few more times just to kind of strengthen it. And I find when, you're in a
Mm.
store with those bright overhead lights or there's a buzzing or like any kind of environment too crowded for your comfort level, anything like that, like taking a moment to breathe into that egg creates kind of that layer of separation where I can now move about in the world unaffected by other people's stray energies. I've literally taught this to female friends who have a hard time going to parties or bars because they're hit
Mm.
on nonstop, right? So I teach them, like,
Mm.
if you've got somebody's unwanted attention and they keep looking over and you don't want them to stop looking at you, or worse, they get up and start walking towards you. If you do it alone, don't just use it when you need it. Practice making the egg at home. So when you need it, one breath, it's there
Yeah.
because you've had practice blowing it up. You feel an energy directed at you don't like, blow up the egg and then give it a spin.
Mm.
Imagine it now spinning around you. This literally works like magic. My
Interesting.
friends that have tried this, some guy will be walking towards them from across the bar and suddenly something gets his attention over there. And like on the
Mm.
way, it's like he hits your spinning egg and bounces off of it, ricochets off of it and goes in a different direction. That's literally how I've seen it work. So you can learn without closing yourself off from the world, but you can use visualizations like this to deflect your energy.
Interesting.
Another thing you can do if you want people's attention, breathe into your own aura and make yourself brighter. You want to walk by unnoticed, you don't want people's attention, you
Mm.
can do the opposite. You can inhale your energy in, make your kind of energetic and light footprint smaller. Okay?
Mm.
You're totally in control of these things. It's just we're not taught to practice them. That's why we're developing our training program with Tantric Awakening. Ultimately, that's our mission. We're here to train the leaders and the healers.
Yeah.
So this is what we do. We test and develop actively tools like this. And it's not like you have to be Superman. We all have this innate ability. It's just we're not taught this in schools and we don't practice it.
Mm-hmm.
But with everybody I've taught some of these techniques to, the more they practice at it, the better at it they get. Like, life starts less happening to you and impacting you, and you start being more in control of your life and your own destiny once again. Like, that energy flow shifts. It
Yeah.
changes direction.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right. Where it's like you are in charge of your life. You're not at the mercy of your mind, even your mind. I mean, that's a huge thing. In these last few weeks, I have literally been just bearing witness to the reality of how much groundedness I have in these moments, and also just the choice that it is a choice in every day and every moment, whether or not you're going to allow perhaps someone's energy field to just completely shift yours, especially if someone's really like giving attitude or something like that, which is, it's something that I witnessed with even earlier this week. I've realized, like, the importance of holding respect for myself, expressing my boundary, and also like, yeah, just knowing. For me, my bubble, it's interesting, spinning. I realized, like, for example, in a moment earlier this week, my bubble, my egg was spun and activated through dance. Because in that moment when I observed this and I even needed to express, my boundary again, there was this moment where I could feel that like, ooh, energy come up. I was like, ooh, like this is like testing me right now.
I've seen that. Like when you get busy, if you skip your dance rituals, you become like much more sensitive, much more irritable. And even like news, you read a headline and it can shift your energy sometimes for an hour or two. When you've been dancing, you come home, there's like an aura and a power around you, like nothing shakes you. You change the room when you walk through it instead of it changing you.
Yeah.
I felt that. I've witnessed it.
Yeah. And it's interesting. The empathy, talking about empathy, it's been really interesting, like how I've been bearing witness to that whole, like when you walk into a room, like as a leader, you are the energy initiator, you are the model for what the space is going to be like. What's been really interesting for me, talking about like depersonalization or detachment, has been in that space of allowing other people to have their own experience, and also like the empathy of acknowledging when someone doesn't want to meet your energy, and how it and in that decision on other people's parts and their agency, seeing how it's impacting, like for example, students, or kids, for example. And that's something I've been really, really dancing with, of like how that relates to surrendering control. It's like that practice of agency and what that actually means. But it's just been interesting, like having empathy in moments when it's like you have a high standard for yourself, and you're bearing witness to like people not wanting to meet your standard. It's interesting. It's interesting for me. I've been dancing with that and how that relates to relationships.
And that's okay. Everybody evolves on their own time. You can still enjoy them where they're at, or you can choose not to. It's important to spot and be aware of energy leakages. Like before, when you were talking about conflicting thoughts, that's an energy leakage. When you find yourself stuck in an emotion and not able to process it and move past it, that can be leaked energy. And you just spoken to a very subtle one that people don't realize.
What's that?
Well, kind of forcing your way through life. There's a difference between power and force, right? Resisting something takes energy.
Interesting.
Forcing your way through life. Oh, everything's pulling me, like I should cancel this, whatever. Like everything's pulling me in this direction, but I'm going to be stubborn. I want it to go through. That takes energy. When you're kind of fighting the current, all of those are energy leakages. That all takes energy. So
interesting.
Yes, sometimes you have to recognize when you're being pulled in a flow and surrender and go along with that. Here's what I found. It's not a paradox. And you can do that with conscious awareness and conscious choice. I'm going to choose to let go. That's very different than being swept up by something that takes you off course. That's an energy leakage. Okay, but going like, I'm not going to fight this. I have a better use of my energy. I'm going to surrender to it. If it's done by conscious choice with awareness, it's a very different experience. And this too, you spoke earlier of like, these are like muscles, and you got to develop them just like you do a muscle. Same thing. So I know something you and I discussed right before the episode was like the importance of consistency and rituals, Because this is
huge.
exactly how you build that muscle
Yeah.
and how you strengthen it, right? Self-mastery,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. For me, it's just self-mastery is, for me, the process of really looking at your shadows and really be attuned to these minute but subtleties within your own psyche and within your own
Mm,
thought process. Like,
okay.
yeah, that's been huge for me.
How can you strengthen that muscle? How can you become more aware of them?
Aware of.
Aware of these subtle shifts, because I know exactly what you're
Oh,
speaking into, but like, how can somebody who's maybe like, oh, I don't feel that, I'm not aware of that. Is there something they can do to maybe strengthen that
I think we're speaking into what
awareness?
I'm feeling is intuition, and not only intuition, but taking accountability for your feelings or whatever's coming through. So it's really just being honest with yourself and allowing that to be your what's in the moment and being real, and even just asking for help or sharing with a friend or allowing yourself to be seen in that vulnerability. I know I did that with you this past week, where there was a moment of like, ooh, like this came up and it was very vulnerable of me to feel. And it was a subtlety, a subtle like observation. And I wanted to, because I value your expertise and your ability to see things that I don't sometimes. And
Mm.
it was just really powerful to bear witness to the subtleties. But honestly, like in the day to day, it's just the more what's helped me be so present with more of my subtleties is honestly not personally. I haven't been on social media as much lately. It's interesting. Like I've been more connected with nature and like just pure humans, and that's been the most growth for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um and when you're around kids too, or and like for me, I'm around young 20-year-olds. And my goodness, like I have literally I've made choices in the last 2 days, even just to like, oh wow, like not seeing my younger self, but really acknowledging like, how was I when I was that young, right? Like there's just so much reflection going on. I mean, it's a hodgepodge because when you see your inner child in a child, you're like, whoa, that's crazy. Or when you see yourself in a teenager, it's like, whoa,
We
wow.
all have an inner
You
child.
know,
We all have an inner
and when
teen.
you have it
Absolutely.
outside of yourself, because a lot of our work is so much of like internal family systems and archetypal work.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild when you're working with those energies outside of you. It's like you're literally, a big part of what we do is reparenting work, being the role model to these younger versions. Like, I mean, it doesn't have to be like younger versions of yourself, but such impressionable minds. Whew, there's a responsibility there that has made me feels like grow up fast.
Well,
And a reminder.
even clients that are our age or older than us, like we do a
Mm-hmm.
lot of work with their inner child, and
Yeah, it's a
it's
huge thing.
interesting how the world reflects, like you said, through the kids, through the teens, even
It's
through people
everywhere.
your age or older. Like the
Adults,
universe is
aunts.
constantly reflecting to you the lessons that you need to learn also. Is
Yeah.
so I guess since we're talking about strengthening that muscle, it's like becoming aware of those reflections when you see them. This is
Mm,
triggering a feeling in me because it's something, there's something in me that resonates with this. Otherwise, you could watch it with total detachment
yeah.
and it wouldn't affect you. If it makes you feel something, it's because there's
Yeah.
something inside of you that resonates with it.
You know what it is for me? A few things that has come up
Mm.
in my learning curve. It's been really understanding, why am I trying to defend this moment? What am
Mm.
I trying to
Oh, that's a
defend
big
here
one.
that's not in my control? There's only so much influence I actually have learned this. There's only so much influence I have. And um there comes a point where that you are ending and another person is, and their boundary and their choice and their agency needs to be respected.
Or
Even
which
if
inner
it
need
challenges
is not being met in this moment, and does it belong to my inner child, my inner teen, or my grown-up self?
yeah, but even if it challenges you,
Mm,
that's an opportunity to just take a moment to be like, whoa, what is this challenging in me?
right.
And that's been powerful because it's, as a leader, that's a huge learning curve. Recognizing the importance of the agency of others. You can be the best role model, reflection of your own ethos and standards. And people can either rise to your level and rise to what you're inviting them into or not. And honestly, I can say this is why perhaps in my life I've like gone through so much of that Pluto conjunct the moon in Scorpio transformative energy. It's like I've gone through so many portals of community, people. I've outgrown so many of that and rebirthed myself because I continue, I'm a Capricorn sun, Scorpio moon, Aquarius rising. Like a big part of my energy is like, I am like very much, we are always talking about this, but like I am personally always having this dialogue with myself of like, how can I be a better version of myself? Like, how can I show up more, like more fully and with more zeal or more creativity? And that's really huge. Like, yeah. Empathy, empathy has taught me when to let go too.
Yeah.
And recognize like I can attest to the empathic part of me that has helped me understand it's time to let go, or it's time to stop grief. Like this is no longer something I need to grieve. Like it's just acceptance at that point. Like empathy has helped me understand the process of grieving and also the process of just what am I living for? Because if I cared so much about everything and everyone all the time, oh my gosh, like.
Well, this is kind of
that
where we
wouldn't
started the
work.
conversation, was being rooted in who you are and being rooted in your mission and why you're here.
Secure and just in knowing who you are and just even knowing what you're worth, right? And knowing what you bring to this world, it's priceless and that's powerful. And I believe that's even why like I got this position this summer. It's because I knew.
Well, because you could make a difference in those people's lives. There is no other reason.
Yeah.
And they could make a difference in yours.
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
It's reciprocal. Even the moments and even the experiences where they've challenged me or I've been frustrated with certain moments with certain people. Like it's been like, oh, okay. Like this is great. This is leadership. This is leadership training. And it's also because, another aspect of this empathy conversation, because I think it's important. The biggest thing I've been learning, and it's so powerful, I feel like when it comes to empathy, one of the biggest things I've noticed in myself, but I think a lot of people deal with this or maybe not challenged by it, is sometimes putting ourselves in a box and putting ourselves in box because they feel comfortable. And I know so many of you have watched probably our show over the episodes we've posted, and you likely have heard us talk so much about like sexuality, sex magic, so many of our erotic adventures, and more to come that we're excited to even share about. But it's been really interesting because the empathy that I'm like giving and sharing, like love for myself and in extension loving others, has been recognizing like I get to be multidimensional and wear many suits or wardrobes or archetypes in my life. Like even for me, like admitting even just publicly of like, yeah, I'm a dance specialist at a camp for the summer, and also like a sex educator, and erotic person. Like wow, like I get to be all of it.
You have range. You have a spectrum.
I have a spectrum, and that's been super, even just saying it out loud, like it's liberating because that's what I'm, and my hope is for people who are listening, like for you to know that empathy in retrospect to yourself and looking inward is also recognizing if you've been ever projected or put yourself into boxes because that's what you've been or what you've known yourself to be, like knowing at any time that you get to reinvent yourself or even go full circle in something or return to something or develop your skills in a place or community that you maybe is not your natural habitat. Like that's totally my Aquarius energy because like my biggest passion in talking about empathy is really recognizing the beauty of difference and the beauty of just joining into whatever, celebrating love wherever that lands.
Yeah, well, community is really important. I remember some years back running across a list and it was like the top survival skills for psychics. Self-care and survival. And I mean, we've touched on most of them during this show. Getting around nature, is huge. Spending time in meditation is huge. Something we didn't touch on, but very important, nourishing meals. You're not going to feel good outside if your inside's not feeling good. Sleep is huge. Like I'm always encouraging you guys, spend part of your day with your phone in airplane mode. You got to spend part of your day with your brain in airplane mode. Like shut off and traveling the universe without your body attached. Like that is key to your survival. When you cut on sleep, your energy is going to suffer. Not just energy like, oh, I'm tired. Your entire energy field is suffering, is drained, is not as strong. So yeah, how you feed yourself, how do you nourish yourself, how you sleep. It's interesting you mentioned Scorpio, because I remember one of the tips is get around water. Take a bath, go to the beach. Most psychics eventually, when they settle, when they buy their home, it's usually near a body of water, whether it's a lake or a river or an ocean. Like we're just attracted to water. Water conducts and water also cleanses. So getting around water is big. And then I'll never forget, and they said most important, spend time around others of your own kind. People are at different levels of evolution, and bless them, more power to them. We're all on a path. But if you're constantly around people that are depleting your energy will feel depleted. So you got to be around people who are aware of energy, where like being around each other, now your energy is stimulating each other. You're radiating, they're radiating, and you're creating this atmosphere of lifting each other up. We see it everywhere. The Vedas talk about the gurus, the masters, after they work and meditate with students, like the students leave and the masters all form their circle and they work with each other and they energize each other. So like it's really, really key to be around others like you that are on a similar path and on a similar level, or even better. What about the people that intimidate you, that are on the next level? I love being around people like that and, learning what I can, absorbing what I can from them too.
Yeah, I love that too. It's the beauty of similarities and difference. It's both. And it's being able to recognize, like even this past week, we went to a zoo class. I've been to a zoo class before, and I knew it was your first class, and I know it was, I didn't know fully what to expect, but I witnessed you challenged in it was a great challenge for you, and it was great to bear witness to your commitment to being there, and yet I think it's prime example. Like it wasn't necessarily your natural habitat, but you jumped in, and it's kind of like
I like jumping into foreign habitats.
Right.
Actually.
It's kind of like if you go to a foreign country, it's like usually if you're like a foreigner somewhere else, it's like usually the locals would just appreciate that you try, right? And that's what it's like, a beginner's mindset, right? Like the fact that you got in there and
everywhere except Germany. In Germany, if you pronounce something wrong, they'll be like, you must say it so.
Yeah.
But most
You
everywhere
know what
else,
I mean?
yeah, totally.
But yeah, that's a whole nother thing that I think I read an article, was it the New York Times? I don't even remember. But it was 𝗬𝗓𝗏, and she was talking about like the importance to like any relationship and keeping it vital is remembering that you're not trying to be like a replica of your partner.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really important not to change your partner or try to change your partner, but to embrace the difference. Because like I can even like think of like even our relationship, like there are differences, but it's like in the beauty of embracing it, right? Like that it has flowed, and it's also allowed for a lot of growth and stuff. So one of the last things I wanted to mention, speaking of like kindredness, because we had a moment today and it was so wild, of with someone we just met over Zoom, but it was just like this powerful speak about water energy. Like I just feel intuitively to share with you guys, like if you're not aware of astrology or your chart, like it can really profoundly impact how you interact with yourself and others. But if you know someone that has your similar moon sign, and the moon is related to your feelings and feeling, just like home energy, the moon, it's related to the feminine. Like try to find someone with a similar elemental moon sign. That could be really exciting. And I know like even today we were connecting with someone. He found out he had a Scorpio moon. And I was like, me too. And it was just so awesome. So yeah, profoundly encourage everyone to
It makes
watching.
sense why you guys hit it off and resonated so well together.
Yeah. And it's just like fanning each other's flame. Like you have, your, Gemini moon. It's just like, yeah, it's being able to
Kendall,
recognize.
by the way, does amazing astrology readings, you guys. I encourage you to reach out to her.
Yeah.
You can find her on Instagram at the Tantric Mystic _.
Mm-hmm.
And reach out.
Please do.
And you're really amazing. Like I thought I understood astrology, but since I've been observing what you do, like you take it to a whole other level.
Yeah.
I don't mind saying that.
Thank you. Yeah, I really think, astrology came into my life at like the perfect time. It helped me see my soul. It helped me see like what the stars had to say about even my past lives. It's given me so much information to like carry me forward. And I encourage anyone, especially if you're a witch or you're wanting to become more mystically attuned to the cosmos. Yeah.
Get in touch, reach out. This is what we do. This is what we teach you guys. We'd love to come alongside you for the journey.
And for even couples too, I want to mention, like we've utilized it in our coaching as well, like being able to look at somebody's chart, look at a couple's chart in order to see like, oh, like these are the parts of our relationship where we're very working in flow with each other. And these are also like the challenging moments. So we integrate that in our coaching. So if you're interested in any of that, please reach out. Yeah.
You can find me at Andre Night Awakening, also on Instagram, or the link we mentioned earlier, www.tantricawakening.net. The website, there's just a landing page there now. The website's not quite ready yet, but we're getting close. We're putting the finishing touches. But there is a link there that you can click to either reach out to us or fill out a short form. Let us know more about you and what you're interested in hearing more of on the show. What you'd like to maybe have us follow up with you privately. You write, you let us know what you need. And, we're here to serve. We're a public service organization. We just happen to be dedicated to energy awareness. And, this is what we do. And please, join the mailing list if you would like to learn how to live more fully as an empath. And, we share tools like the ones you saw today that help you protect your energy and just live a more heart-centered, more plugged-in life.
Yeah.
This is the quest we're on. Our journey's not done. Our evolution's not done. But we love to share what we learned along the way. And if you found this video useful, please don't forget to like, comment, please subscribe. We'd love to see you on the next one. And there'll be a few suggestions actually after the music here. So thank you so much for joining, you guys.
Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you and your encouraging words, the comments on the, even Apple Podcasts. Just warms our heart. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. And we hope you're having such an amazing summer or even winter, right? The Southern Hemisphere.
If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, sure.
Thank you guys so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bye for now.
Bye.